Fireside Chat with your host, Naylor Taliaferro.
In this episode, I'm in Lancaster, Ohio to get to know Caleb with Auman Landscape. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how this all started? Like, how'd you get into this industry?
When I was, just before I could drive, when I was like 15, I was working for my neighbor's lawn care company, and I was quickly realizing like I didn't enjoy that working for someone else, although I was enjoying the experience. Like, we were mowing a lot of commercial properties and skag walk behinds and all the Belkies, and just I was like, man, this is cool. And I was quickly realizing like I didn't like working for somebody else. And as soon as I got my driver's license, I borrowed $600 from my grandma, and I got a farm loan of $1,900 to buy an Exmark 48-inch walk behind. And I went and bought those two things and paid them off that year, actually, with like leaf cleanup money, just working my tail off. And that's what got the ball rolling.
Nice. And you just kept going, just growing and building from there?
Yeah, and I always enjoyed construction and building and doing things like that, and I wanted to get more into the landscape construction and just building aspect of things. And so like as I was taking on little jobs and bought this landscape book, I think I might have mentioned a while ago, and I bought this book, and I was like, I can do this stuff, and I wanted to do this stuff. I was driven to do this stuff, and so I started doing this little stuff for Grandma Crabtree or whoever, you know what I mean, like just doing these little itty bitty jobs. And so Columbus State Community College had an excellent, or I was referred to it, and I was told they had an excellent design build program. And I went up to that and just fell in love with it, and just fell in love with construction and landscape construction, landscape design, horticulture. Like I was enthralled with it.
When did you create Auman Landscape? Like, when was that born? How long has it been?
Well, my first little company, my first mowing company right in high school was called Prime Cut Lawn and Landscape. And
nice.
Yeah, right, clever, right? But after that, I transitioned it to Auman Landscape Company, and then when I crashed that company, and finally in 2008, it then transitioned to Auman Landscape, which is an LLC or whatever. But we just did a little bit of a tweak of the name, which my accountants and everybody said that was okay to do, and we did that stuff. And then now we're Auman Landscape, which I feel is like a kind of an all-encompassing name of just everything landscape that we do, and not too specialized as far as like Auman Hardscape or anything like that. But that's the name and the route we chose, and that's how we brand.
But you really focus and try to, like, you feel, it seems like you're more passionate about like the hardscaping part.
Absolutely,
of it, right?
yeah. The landscape construction is just what I love that work. Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. And you do design work.
Yeah, the creative end of it is my bread and butter. Like I really am passionate about construction and the design build, and that's just so satisfying to me, and for my guys to be part of, and just there's nothing cooler to me than creating, and that's something we get to do, and I'm living my own dream, I guess, right? We do a lot of the 500 to 600 square foot size paver patios. That's one of the main things in our region we do a lot of down here in our little demographic of Fairfield County. And this one came through referral, which a lot of our work does. So, and it speaks to the power of referral, I believe, too. Like, the guy that referred us is going to be doing some remodeling work in their house, and he had spoken very highly of our company, and apparently highly enough that I even managed to miss my first meeting with these folks, and they still had me back to reschedule to meet them again and to come through and then eventually build a space we're very proud of. So yeah. We're happy with that.
It looks awesome. Have you got any spin-off work from this project, or from the same person that you got the referral for in the first place?
Yeah, he refers us a little bit here and there. This has been one of his best referrals to us, actually. So, but the biggest thing is too, once we get a beautiful job in like this, the ROI on the media end of it, as far as like promoting, you know, the photos of it as it's being built, as we're shooting Facebook Live videos and stuff from it and promoting it, that spurs more interest for this type of work. So it's kind of a self-feeding organism. Once you get it going, like it perpetuates more work down the road.
Yeah.
It.
Awesome. It looks great. So.
Thank you, sir. My guys, you know, like I said, I don't think I lifted a paver here myself. Like we've got a good team that works for us. My foreman, Bo, almost 18 or 20 years now. Like he runs these jobs and manages them from a set of plans that we give him, and even sometimes on a napkin, and he makes some crazy stuff happen. And so I can't take credit for really much of the physical, actually really any of the physical work. You know, it's my job of the company is to be meeting and selling work and just trying to make sure the wheels don't fall off. And then Britt herself, my wife, you know, her job too is just to keep the nuts and bolts of the paperwork and the taxes and insurance, just all that garbage that can consume a company as you're trying to grow. So yeah, man, thank you.
Working on the business instead of in it all the time. So that's a step that a lot of people want to get to.
And it's tough, Naylor. It's tough to get to that point because you got to have that right-hand man. Because if you don't have that right-hand man, it makes it really difficult because you got to, and I understand because I came from that of being the field producer guy and then going and selling work that night, and you know, being exhausted, not feeling like doing paperwork when I get home because I'm exhausted for being in the field, and then going to a sales call, and I did that for years, so I understand that struggle. I've been there, so I get it, man. It takes time. We're an overnight success 20 years later. I mean, really, is what it comes down to.
Nice.
So. Let go of the controls, and that'll at least get you out of that situation. So I'll pop on in there. Okay, so the machine is dead right now. The controls won't do anything because this control arm is down there. When I bring this down, it's going to be live. So we got, you know, the big stone wall that was natural reclaimed barnstone from actually a barn in Pennsylvania. But we got just all our specs here that Bo's going to go over. Drainage notes, we want our drainage at 2%. We've got an intersection of an existing drain line running across. You know, we get down into the wall, we want a casual look for that wall setup. We get into our paver, of course our standards of it's 219 square foot, it's a 2% slope paver, that's what we want it to drain. We did this one entirely on open graded stone, but it's got all the specs in here that Bo's going to need to know for the job, aside from his whole other job packet we give him. So not every job is this organized, I'll be very honest, but we're trying to get to where every single job is this organized. Some of them it's literally, we did a $30,000 project years ago, it was on a napkin. So I mean, like, you know, it's all over the place, but it depends. But for the most part, we're trying to send guys out with really good plans that we make and print out in-house. So something we're we're happy to be doing. So
Nice. It looks legit, man.
we're trying to be legit. We're trying. This is a project we were really happy to be part of. We were working under the design of a natural playscape designer. A couple things there we weren't responsible for were the wooden structures you see, the covered bridge replica and the canal boat replica. But as far as the general site work, grading, dozer work, excavation of drainage features, and sodding, seeding, the driver creek bed, all those things, paver patios, concrete, all fell under the umbrella of our company for being installed.
So this is the working office, huh?
This is the Empire. So that's the estimate board there. Those are estimates I need to put together.
This is really sweet.
Yes, between here and the grill, across the patio, and kids run out in the yard. Yeah, after work, there's nothing. I'm that stage of dad life where it's like that is like a good evening, good life, all that stuff. Like,
So I just want to ask for everyone that's a landscaper or wants to get into landscaping in general, like what are some tips that you have for them? Like just starting out, or they want to kind of take their business to the next level?
for me, I was always really big on studying the craft. So I spent a lot of time, I was fortunate enough to get into it young enough that I, had time to go to college and go to went to a community college and with a great horticultural and construction program. And if nothing else, I recommend people just immerse yourself and study your craft, study what you want, whatever phase of the green industry you want to be in. Go to your local college that has a construction program or a green program, and go to the bookstore and buy the curriculum and study that stuff and read that stuff. And that's things I did before I ended up in school. I went up to the bookstore on campus and bought tons of construction and design books, and I'd read over those and pore over them, so that, I guess that's my big emphasis. And then on top of that, know your numbers, know your business is so. You've got to be a businessman and a craftsman. Those two are so important. I guess potentially the businessman end of things is possibly the most important aspect of it, but you've got to be good at what you do to be gainfully employed by your clients. So I always just put such an emphasis on being passionate about whatever you're getting into, and so whatever aspect of the green industry that really lights your fire, I think you need to kind of double and triple down on that aspect of it, and just study your tail off and learn it and immerse it and try, and just nothing. A man with an education is always at the mercy of a man with an experience, and so going out and doing it is still going to be better than just theorizing on it constantly. So you still always got to put it into practice.
Right.
You still got to go out and do it.
So for someone that's in landscaping and they feel like they want to transition into hardscaping, what are some tips that you have specifically for that, or what is your experience? How did you go about it?
Sure. I went when I was just starting out. I went to Lowe's, and this was kind of pre-internet, which is so crazy, right? Pre-internet, it's hard to even fathom now, right? But I went
lots happened in a short amount of time.
A little bit, and I went to Lowe's and bought a landscaping book on sale at Lowe's, put out by Black & Decker of all things, and they had a section in there on how to build a paper patio. And that's what I started studying over, and then I started finding more advanced textbooks and stuff like that, and because there wasn't YouTube and a lot of those resources that are so plentiful now, which is wonderful. So getting into that end of things, just reading construction details. Something I've promoted to people is trying to go intern when you can take the time to a company that's a little more distant, that you wouldn't be a threat to, and go offer to work for them a couple days a week, or find a guy that's an hour away that does paperwork and that you wouldn't, tell them what you want to do. You kind of pretty much just want to intern to learn it because you want to add that to your business that's far away and wouldn't be a threat to them, and go put in some real time there. And that's tough because the time, but at the same time, that those experiences are, invaluable. Like, you're going to learn, from somebody else that's super experienced, right? But aside from, just studying the details, immersing yourself in every educational aspect and opportunity that's available to you, building, especially into hardscape, into things, just start building. Find a place at your grandma's house or out in the field where you can build, get some money together and buy the materials and build a 10 by 10 practice pad, or talk to a supplier. And chances are pretty good if you talk to a supplier and a good sales rep of pavers, let's just say, for example, like, hey, I want to build my first job ever, and I'm building just a practice pad. Do you have like 25 square foot of just stuff out back that you just need to get rid of, either at super discount or just to get off your hands? And, see if they'll set you up. And a good sales guy, a good sales rep is going to see this and understand, like, this is a potential client down the road. And they're going to say, yeah, and actually let us help you, learn and, expand on this stuff. And that's kind of the thing I'm guiding folks towards, aside from just the fact of just do it, just swing for the fences and make it happen.
What's the number one thing that you've done for your business to make it better?
Whoa, the number one thing, it's at the end of the day, it's got to be just getting our books and our numbers together. At the end of the day, numbers rule everything. And
what do you mean by that? You mean like getting them organized, knowing your numbers,
knowing your
right
numbers
pricing?
is huge. Exactly, Naylor. You're exactly right. Knowing what you need to charge to stay alive, what your break-even costs are, what your materials cost, kind of learning your basic estimating, which it doesn't have to be crazy. It's just knowing what the cost of materials are going to be, trying to estimate the amount of time you got on it, and then realizing and trying to figure out your valuation of what your time is worth, and especially either at your skill level and also what it takes to keep your business alive. And then on top of that, even profiting, which is super crucial, right?
Right.
So all those things with our company was getting our numbers together, getting our books in order, and getting a pricing structure that made sense for our company and our overhead, our costs for trucks, rent, whatever, you name it, machines, people. That has been the number one thing. It's turned my business around from when I really had it down in the dumps, years ago. So knowing your numbers is so critical.
How many years ago was that you really kind of nailed that down?
I don't know if you ever truly perfect it or ever have it perfect, right? But we really kind of got things in order or began to really get things on the upswing about 2009-ish, because I finally crashed my first company in 2008. And it just came to a head where it's like, this is not sustainable anymore at this level of, we always did good work, but I just was doing a terrible job at managing and running a business and then on the numbers end of it. And I was so in love with the craft, I didn't care about the numbers of it. And that was so detrimental. And I learned so much, and for me, it was one of those experiences where I had to go through that pain to learn how to run a business the right way. And I'm not even saying we've got it figured out now, because we don't. Because I don't know if you ever do truly, but we're always
you're on the upswing.
This ascension, right? This path up of just always striving for perfection, and just trying to get our business to a point where it's really sustainable for our family and for our guys and for their families. And numbers are just so critical. You'll hear me say that probably a bunch.
I know you have a DVD out that helps educate folks on hardscaping. What is talk about the Pavers?
Okay, yeah, we so through our social media stuff, I was getting asked all the time how to install paver work and paver patios and stuff like that, and I couldn't find a truly comprehensive YouTube video just talk about everything I thought should be in one. And so I was like, heck with it, we'll put one together. And long story short, we ended up putting together a how to install pavers DVD, and I thought, well, if we put one together and we recover our costs, that we got in it, because it's one of those things man, that snowballed quick. Went from having I thought we have $1,000 in it, and ended up being $3,000 into this crazy thing. And we recover our costs, and if we made enough money to pay the mortgage 2 months, wow, wouldn't that be cool? And it did a little better than that, and so we're really happy about that. We're really excited about that. But it's a good, it's just great for the beginner, and that was our goal, is for it to be a good resource for the guys that want to start out, in paver work and, you know, add that onto their lawn care business or go straight into it or whatever. And that was our goal. And there's other resources and other educational opportunities out there. It's not the be all end all, but it's such a, I believe, such a great resource for starting out.
Do you have plans for any future DVDs, or was that just like a one-off?
This fall, we're actually, next week we're reshooting. We're doing a whole new how to install pavers DVD. So that's like a whole new one. We're gonna, because the first one we did it like minimum viable product, MVP. Like, because we didn't have proof of concept. We didn't know if we could buy the thing. Like, so we're just like, we're gonna do the bare minimum, put good information out, but we're gonna not do a great job on like the video and audio and all that stuff.
I gotcha.
And so like the actual production was new. And so like, since it did good and we had good feedback on it, we're like, well, we're gonna actually put out a one that's more enjoyable to watch, I guess. Because this other one was like
a little more polished.
Yeah, polish is a great word for it. And so we're gonna reshoot that actually next week here after we do this interview here, and then we've been asked a lot for a how to install retaining walls video. So we're gonna do a retaining wall videos here in the next couple weeks. I'm not sure when exactly, because we've got to coordinate that in between, because I pull my guys off of jobs and we'll actually cut out a project and build a wall and just work our way through it, and we think that's going to be a good resource for guys wanting to know more about building retaining walls and stuff. So we're excited about that.
Where can anyone find that information? If somebody wants to check out the DVD you have out now and the future DVDs, where can they get that information?
All that stuff's available through we have a Shopify account, which is going to, I believe in the future here, we're going to do an online hosting for the next courses, so you can actually just watch it through that and not have to be, because the DVD thing is getting pretty antiquated. It's showing my age, right? Like, it's getting bad.
Right.
So now we're doing the online hosting stuff, so that's going to be probably where most of those courses are going to be. But through our Shopify account right now. But if you go to almondlandscape.com, we'll have links on there through any of our social stuff, or message me. You know, anybody can message me anytime. Even if I don't care if anybody buys the DVD, I don't care. But they can message me anytime.
Message you on Instagram?
Yeah, personally on Instagram. Yeah, at Auman Landscape LLC. Yeah, like message me. I answer paver questions all day long, and so I've kind of. I enjoy it a lot. It takes a lot of time, but I enjoy, responding to all the questions and helping people, advance their companies and their careers. Like, how cool is that? You know what I mean? You're helping somebody, further themselves in their career. Like that, to me, that's something like I'm super flattered to be a part of. I think it's just awesome. So,
thanks for having me over here at your house, and, your family and everything, and sharing a little snapshot of your life and your passion for hardscape.
Well, I'm just honored to have you here, honestly, and we're just happy to be part of your whole Get to Know the Pro. It's super cool, man, so thank you.
Thanks. Check them out. I'm like, if she can notice it, then, bye. Oh, there you go. There you go. Good job.